Is there a learning process for tunes after flashing my B8S4? We've talked about this before.
Yeah,
There's this kind of adaptation
yeah,
that the ECU does.
not much, honestly. I mean, a lot of it's designed to be ready to go as is. I mean, when we're dyno tuning these, we're not giving them any time to adapt. It's the the raw mapping and the calibration as it sits. So there's some fuel trims and some little stuff that comes into play, but yeah, the performance numbers typically aren't going to change after time.
To the customer, we never. I mean, we never talk about this when people contact us. We're never. When they have a concern with the tune, we never say, "Oh, you need to let the car adapt."
Yeah,
for a
that's
few
not going to be
days.
an answer we give out. Is just let it sit there and adapt.
So here's what this is. This same thing happens in the audio world. So if you buy a pair of speakers and you bring them home, and let's say you have 30 days to return them, and you don't really like the sound, what does the typical audio shop tell you? Oh, you have to break in the speakers. They have to break in. It could take 6 months to a year or whatever. They make some BS thing up that says that if you're not happy with it now, you will be in the future because this thing hasn't happened yet. So that will. But there's no such thing as breaking in speakers. Certainly not to the degree that a lot of companies say. They're just trying to buy time and give the customer some type of answer that will appease them for the time being. And typically, you sit there, you listen to the speakers, and after so many weeks or months, you're just used to it and you deal with it and you move on with your life.
Yeah, if the vendor can buy some time to kind of let you drop off their radar, then.
So what happens in our industry, you buy a tune, you flash your car, you drive it for a couple days, you contact the tuner, hey, this isn't as smooth as it should be, whatever, there's some issue. Oh, the ECU needs to adapt. It's adapting. And it's the same exact thing. So they're just trying to buy time, and instead of going and addressing the real issue in the tune or the calibration, they're putting the client off with a type of diversion or distraction to send the customer on a wild goose chase that the ECU still has to do something that hasn't done already. So, we will never give that as an excuse or reason. The ECU does do some adaptations, but it's certainly not to the degree that many tuning companies say. There was someone on our Facebook group, our 034 customer group, who said that a sort of well-known tuner in Southern California said this to them, and it's the exact red flag that I'm talking about here. So,
well, if there's an issue with our stuff, we'll typically be sending you like data logging tools, or having you check faults and some other stuff. There's waiting for it to adapt isn't one of our go-tos.
In no scenario is some noticeable problem with the tune going to magically correct itself because the ECU's learning.
Yeah, and to be clear, this is a very different thing we're talking about than running like throttle body adaptations or clutch pressure adaptions and transmissions. Those are functions that get run that are literally just for the ECU to learn the end stops or the hardware that's within the component.
And those are very specific actions.
Those are functions you have to run on the ECU.
We can send you instructions on how to do that.
Not just run the car for X amount of days and it'll get better.
Yeah, that's a whole different story. So.